Welcome everyone to our exciting session Beyond the Screen Advanced Mobile Application Testing. We are so glad you are here with us today to learn more about the details of mobile app testing from our expert QA leads. First, let me introduce our distinguished speakers. Upeksha Munaweera is an associate QA lead at Asiata Digital Labs. She holds a BTech in computer engineering from the Open University of Sri Lanka. With her extensive experience and technical expertise, Upeksha has been a pivotal force in driving quality assurance initiatives within our organization. Also, we have Arunika Amarasinghe is our QA senior QA lead, holding a BSc Special Honors in IT from the Sri Lanka Institute of Information Technology. Additionally, she is a certified tester, bringing a wealth of knowledge and industry best practices to our team. Arunika's passion for excellence has consistently ensured the delivery of top-notch mobile applications. So in this session, Upeksha and Arunika will share their insights, strategies on advanced mobile application testing. They will guide us through the latest trends, tools, and methods to help you elevate your testing practices. So without further ado, let's dive into the world of advanced mobile app testing. Please join me in welcoming Upeksha and Arunika. Over to you.
Thank you, Navi. Hope you all can see my screen.
Yeah, Arunika, we can see the screen.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Naveen. Good evening to you all. I'm Arunika, and here with me, my colleague Upeksha. So we will be continuing the session today. And welcome to the ADL Podium session on mobile application testing. So in our talk today, we will be discussing the advanced mobile application testing by using the software development lifecycle. So before further moving on, so let's think why we test. So just now, since most of y'all from the quality assurance background, have you ever thought why we test? You might have, right? So do you remember the recent Facebook outage? We all were logged out from the Facebook and we had no clue on what to do next. And actually, this is kind of an outage. And this kind of outage actually cost a lot of financial loss, as well as it will lose the reputation of the organization. So whatever the application we are going to release for the market, we need to make sure that our application is work as expected. So that is how we are going. That is why we are test. So next, how to test in software development lifecycle. So when we move on, there are methodologies like Agile and Waterfall. So we need to adjust our practices into a software development lifecycle. So you all have heard about Agile and Waterfall practices. And then we will be discussing in our session, so how we align our tests in the software development lifecycle. And here, we are actually here to discuss more about mobile application testing. So without the further ado, let's start. So let's think about a hypothetical, it's not a hypothetical actually, it's a real world scenario. So assume that there is a business owner. That business owner needs to develop a mobile application or any kind of application in order to improve their business. So what he's going to do, he will have an idea. So he will discuss that with another team of software professionals. He can discuss that requirement with the software development team, and those people can actually plan on what to do. So next, when they plan, so they can also design the application. For an example, you can come up with the FRS for the mobile application. And also you can create kind of a technical specifications. Once those planning and designing phases are over, you can move on to development state. So in that case, you will be developing a team of software engineers will be developing the softwares based on the agreed scope. So once they develop the software, it's QA's time now. So you can start testing the mobile application. So now we have a mobile application to test. So let's thought about how we are going to plan the test. So first, we should identify the scope of the application. Now we will be testing a mobile application and we need to have an idea about how we are going to plan this test. So in order to achieve that, there are types of testing. So we have to make sure our application is functionally and non-functionally stable. So by keeping that in mind, you can actually plan the test. So when you're planning the test, you all know that there are things like test plan and the documentations like test strategies. We are not specifically focusing on such activities here, but we want to know how we are going to deliver our deliver quality software product at the end. So that is why planning is important in our software testing life cycle. So now we need to identify, in order to plan our testing, we need to identify the concepts and the available technologies of mobile application. So what do we have? So first thing, we need to identify the types of operating systems. So we all know that Android, which is developed by Google, is one of the most prominent operating system in the world. So Android shares a reasonably high market share of the current mobile device market. Next, we have iOS, which is developed by Apple. Apple is actually not an open source operating system. So Android is an open source operating system. So you can customize Android into your own versions. However, you cannot customize your iOS versions because iOS is solely owned by Apple. So Apple is the second in the world now. So apart from that, you might have heard that Harmony OS. Harmony is developed by a company called Huawei. Huawei is also owns a reasonable percentage of the market share. So when you are plan your test, you need to consider the types of OSs in order to achieve good quality engineering work of your product. So now let's move on to the types of mobile applications. So as you all know, so there are three types of mobile application. First thing is the native applications. The other one is web-based, and the third one is hybrid application. So these are the three types of mobile applications which are commonly available in the market. So now let's discuss a little bit further in the types of mobile applications. So what is a native application? So if you consider a native applications, actually native applications will be based on your operating system. So you can have one application to Android and you cannot install the same application in iOS. On the other hand, those native applications can access features of your mobile phone. For an example, you can access camera. And also it can work offline, which means you don't need the internet connection in order to access to native application. So basically, it is fast when compared to the other applications. So native applications, those are it's quite time-consuming task to develop native applications because it's that certain languages like Java you will be used in developing native applications. So let's move on to the other type, that is web-based applications. So web-based mobile applications are quite common. So the important thing for the web-based applications is that you need to maintain the responsiveness. If you use a tab, it should load properly in that browser. Also, you need to make sure that same thing will be properly loaded in the smaller size mobile device. So the main thing is that web-based applications will use the mobile's web browser. So you don't need to specifically install that particular application by using App Store or Play Store. That is the one of the key difference between native and web-based applications. These applications actually run on a separate web server. So it is obvious that you need internet connection to access these web applications. So next is hybrid applications. As I explained earlier, hybrid applications are combinations of web and native applications. So when it comes to hybrid applications, as I mentioned earlier, native applications can access the device features. However, web applications, you cannot access device features. But when it comes to hybrid applications, it can access the device features like your monitor, your camera and contact list and things like that. And these hybrid applications are built using technologies like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And also, you have to download these applications either from the App Store or Play Store. For an example, Facebook and Gmail, and there are so many hybrid applications in the world. Yeah, that is the main basic idea about an introduction about the types of applications and operating systems. So the next part will be continued by my friend Upeksha. So I'll hand over the presentation to Upeksha for her work.
Yeah, thank you, Arunika. Okay. Let me share this, please.
Hold on.
Okay, thank you, Arunika. So, good evening, everyone. This is Upeksha. So, in this slide, we will be talking about how to select the test devices. You know, there are various mobile devices available in the market. So, do you think is it possible to test our application in all the available devices? Actually, it's impossible to test our application in all the available devices. So we have to do a proper market research to identify the device type. For that, you have to first you have to identify the target audience and most popular devices among them, and you have to consider the device diversity, analyze the market data, utilize analytic data. If your app is an existing app, you can use Google Analytics to find out which devices and OS versions your users are currently using. And you have to think about your budget and the resource constraints when you select suitable test devices. Then let's move to next slide. Here are the sample list of devices that we use to our mobile app testing. We normally use iOS devices, Android devices. For iOS devices, we use iPhone SE because iPhone SE has a small screen size compared to the latest iPhone models. And also we use iPhone 8 to test all the iOS version compatibility. And also we use the latest iOS versions like 12, 13, 14, 15 version. When it comes to Android devices, we mostly use Google Pixel 6, 7 versions, and also we use Samsung Galaxy series, OnePlus 8, Xiaomi Redmi Note series. Okay. Now you have some idea about how to select suitable devices for our test. Uh, Before start execution, another important thing we have to do, test design. Actually, QA engineering team should have a responsibility to design test cases. So QA engineering team should understand the app's purpose, functionalities, target audience, platforms, and they have to cover the scope using suitable test designing techniques and prepare their test cases. After preparing prepare their test cases, review session is very important. So you have to get it reviewed by your peers, QA leads, and business analysts. So it's important to regularly review and update test cases to ensure they remain relevant with new app versions and feature updates. Then let's move to next slide. So when come to test execution, we have to think about not only about the test devices, we have to think about the test environment and test data. So readiness of the test environment and test data is very important to start your test execution. Let's assume our test environment, test data, devices, and everything is ready. Now what you have to do is you have to get the application to test. You have to install your application into your mobile devices. So if the app is Android app, you can get the APK file from App Center. So you can log into the App Center and you can get the APK file. So if it is an iOS device, so you have to log into the test site, then you can get the IPA file. So I'll do a simple demonstration about how to get the IPA file from the test file. So I'm going to here I'm going to demonstrate how to get IPK file from test flight and how to install it into your iOS device. First, you have to, for iOS device, you have to download the test flight and log into the test flight. This is the test flight, and you can see your available app and later here you can see the latest version, and also you can see previous app builds. So previous version, so you can get the latest app version, and also you can install if you want to check the previous app versions. You can install previous app versions as well. Here in mobile apps consist of mobile backend and mobile front end. So when you release a new app version, you need to make sure the existing mobile front end is compatible with the new mobile backend. Here, after you install your application, a mobile application, you can start functional testing and non-functional testing. Apart from functional and non-functional testing, you have to make sure test. You have to test your application under various network conditions with the Wi-Fi, with your test data, 4G, 5G to ensure app performance. So when you execute your test cases, you can find bugs, and you have to report those bugs and make sure bugs are fixed and verified. And it's very important to do regression cycles when it comes to test execution. So once the exit criteria is met, it can be released to business for UAT. UAT means user acceptance testing. So upon successful UAT, test the production build and release to App Store and Play Store. Usually, App Store and Play Store have their own approval process. So once your app is approved, it can be published and application can be downloaded. Okay. So there are a lot of, in the next slide, we will be talking about the challenges and how to address the challenges. So there are a lot of challenges in mobile application testing. So Arunika will explain those. So what do you, Arunika?
Yeah, so when it comes to challenges, actually, one main challenge that we all have is the device and OS fragmentation. What is it actually? So, you know that physical devices are expensive, and we have to make sure that our application is compatible with available market devices. And the other thing is you have to release the app to App Store and Play Store. Now, when it comes to a native or web application, there is no such thing called app submission. But if it is a hybrid application, you have to submit that to a App Store, Play Store. So both App Store and Play Store have their own submission and approval cycles. So you have to comply with those standards. And the other thing is user experience and device performance. So we discussed about certain functional aspects so far, and user experience and device performance is one of the key things that we should be addressed. So we need to maintain smooth experience in different devices. And also we have to make sure our application doesn't drain the battery and it has optimum hardware consumption. So what we can do to address and mitigate those risks. So we talked about device and OS fragmentation. Actually, there are certain applications, or we call it device farms, which you can use for device testing. So there are commercially applicable device testing platforms such as Browser Stack and pClouding. There are actually wide ranges of devices. So these devices that are actually physical devices. So those physical devices can be used to optimize our testing. Now, for an example, you supposed to test a device that is actually, say for an example, in Sri Lanka, there are certain type of lower end devices such as Huawei and Realme. Those kind of devices are there. And also we have to make sure that there are people who use the high-end devices. As Upeksha explained earlier, there can be people who use iPhone 15. So, but it is quite expensive to buy an iPhone for testing purpose, and we need to find a solution for that. So one thing is use a device farm. So I'll share one of the device farm that we have. Yeah. So in this case, actually, this is one of the device farms that we use. So you can see there are various types of devices available in this device farm. So each one of these is an actual device. So these device farms are located physically located in maybe, so we used to connect an Indian device farm, and we can see there are so many options to select. So if you want to test it in Realme device, yes, you can find a Realme device here. Also, if you want to test it in maybe iPhone 15, you should be able to find an iPhone 15 here. Yes. So this is one of the solutions that we can take. But the only problem here is these are subscription-based services. So you need to make a payment, but actually I don't think it is it doesn't cost like buying real devices. So let's see what we can do using a device farm. So let's select Galaxy S23. So this is how we are going to connect it. So it is loading an Indian election. Let's see whether we can connect to another device. So in here, so you can see now this is a Android device. So you can see the Play Store here. So what you can do here is like you can simply download the app that which is already, if it is already available in the App Store, Play Store, you can select an app from here and you can install it. Let's say now there are different types of applications here. You can install that application. You can open the application. So I don't know. So there is some sort of a application, and something that which we discussed earlier is that we need to make sure that our app doesn't drain the device. So for that, we can use certain platforms. Now you can analyze the memory and CPU usage of this particular application. So in here, these type of graphs will give you an idea about how this app use the actual device information. For this one also, you can use tools like Android Studio. We call this device profiling. So profiling can be used in Android tools like Android Studio as well. So yeah, this is a brief idea about how we can use existing tools to test our mobile application. So let's move back into our application, our presentation. And the other thing is that you need to get user feedback. So once you released your application, we don't know how actually users feel about our application. Now, for instance, your buttons of your application might not be fitting to the end users. You might have done a number of researches and you developed an application, but users saying that this is not user friendly. So in order to achieve that, you can release different types of beta versions as in your application. So this can be easily done with Android applications. And you can also do this kind of tryouts in order to make sure that users use the application and they enjoy the application. Because if there are any performance issues or usability issues, there won't be any users who is coming back to your application. On the other hand, you need to make sure that the device that you test the device in various network conditions. I think Upeksha explained it earlier. On the other hand, now we are discussing about the life cycle. So in this life cycle, you will be having repetitive testing. So how we are going to face that? So there can be a number of regression testing and so many other issues that we can find while doing the testing. So what we can do is automation is one of the solutions that we can be used in mobile testing. You know that there are frameworks like Appium. So you can use one of those frameworks to automate the front end. And also you can do API automation in order to verify the backend. Yeah, so that is actually the end of our presentation.
So thank you, Upeksha and Arunika, for the insightful session. So I am sure we have gained valuable insights. So now let's open for the QA session. Guys, feel free to drop your questions in the chat and the speakers will answer them shortly.
Yeah, we have a question. Can you explain test flight? Yeah, test flight is actually used by testers. Now, what we are doing, how we going to use it? That test flight comes with iOS. So if a developer makes a release, and the developer can upload that release to test flight. So before we upload what you call an mobile app to App Store, we can use test flight and as a what you call kind of a storage. So as Upeksha explained earlier, you can continuously upload the versions of your mobile app in order to test it. So you can simply download the app and you can test it. But when it comes to App Store, you only have the latest version of your app. But test flight, you can have a number of app versions of your application.
Arunika, we have another question, I guess.
Is there any other questions?
Yeah, there's one question. Claudio browser stack, what is best?
Well, actually, so we have, actually, those are commercial tools. We cannot specifically explain the benefits of it because it's not an ADL internal product. So actually, that depends on your need and your budget. So you can, so in order to select a tool from the device farms, you can do a POC. That is what you call POC. So proof of concept. So you can select actually what your requirement, and you can assess based on the tools based on your requirement. So you can communicate those vendors and they will provide you sessions. So you can request for sessions and based on that, you can select them. However, those are actually subscription-based services. Yeah. So that is another question. What automation tool do you recommend for mobile testing? Actually, before you start automation, you have to make sure your application is stable. If there are changes, you don't go and do the automation. That is the one golden rule. So if you're going for a framework, open source framework, there are various types of tools. Now, for an example, Appium is one good tool. So that is widely used in industry. So Appium-based automation can be used for mobile application testing. That is for the front end. But as we explained earlier, mobile application can consist of both the front end as well as back end. So you need to have a mechanism to automate the back end as well. So there are quite a lot of commercial tools available in the market. But since if you are a beginner or if you are a undergraduate, so you can always start developing your own framework based on the available open source technologies.
Arunika, there's another question. How can we test OS version wise, like for an older versions of Android?
Yes, for that actually, for the older versions actually, you need to you can get the help of the device farms. So that is something that we can recommend. But if you have older versions, for an example, older versions of Android or older versions of iOS, you can use such devices. So in our case, actually, we get the help of device farm in order to test it in different OS versions. So there's another question that is the Lambda test good to use? So may I know what purpose that you are going to use Lambda test? Is it for automation? Yes. So you are asking whether Lambda test is good for mobile application testing, right? Yeah. So actually, as we mentioned earlier, you can assess what. So there are certain criteria when you plan the automation testing that you need to fulfill. For an example, you need to have a robust test cases and all. So all what you are suggesting is that yes, you can use that, but make sure do a POC before you selecting a tool. And there's another question saying that whether Galaprel is good for mobile testing. Yes, Galaprel is our in-house tool. Yes, we market our product. Yes, you can use it for mobile testing. And we have done a POC also. It was a success. Anything else?
So any other questions, guys? Okay, so there seems to be no questions anymore. So we can conclude this session. So before we conclude the session, I want to say a big thank you to our speakers today for sharing their expertise with us, and we appreciate your time and knowledge. Thank you all.
Yeah, and also if you need any further clarification, just reach myself or Upeksha through LinkedIn. We are helped to clarify your questions. Thank you all.
Thank you.